On the 3rd of July of 1971, the music industry was forever changed yet again. Jim Morrison of the band The Doors was found dead. Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Liz, and today we're going to be discussing the accidental death of Jim Morrison. Alright, so like I said, on the 3rd of July of 1971 is when he would be found. So Roger Krager, who is a part of The Doors, he got a phone call that he didn't necessarily believe, and this was because Jim Morrison was kind of like an out there person. He did what he wanted. He was very adventurous, and he just didn't think anything of it. So what he did was he ended up sending his manager to Paris, because that's where Jim was at the time. And when the manager got there is when Roger would then be informed that it was true. So basically what happened is he was informed that Jim Morrison was dead, and he didn't think that it was true, but it indeed was. He had passed away. So Jim Morrison was found in the bathtub of him and his girlfriend Pamela Courson's apartment in Paris. Now, he was found in the bathtub at around 6 a.m. by his girlfriend Pamela. Here's the thing though, Jim Morrison was 27 years old at the time. And if you haven't noticed that the trend this week is the 27 Club, he would be yet again another person that would pass away at the age of 27. That is an important figure of our music and acting and everything, media, celebrity in general. An important figure that we would lose at the age of 27. So his official cause of death was ruled as a heart failure. Now, according to French law, they don't require an autopsy after a person passes away. So Jim Morrison, he never had an autopsy. And this is what causes a lot of speculation when it comes to people that think what happened is not exactly what happened. Now, certain eyewitnesses state that his death was actually a heroin overdose. But here's the thing. He was buried so quickly after he passed away, so there was no time to actually, like, if we wanted an autopsy, to file a petition to have an autopsy done in the French court system and all that jazz. So the other thing too is that he died exactly to the day 2 years after Brian Jones did. Brian Jones is another musician that passed away of the 27 Club, and he died 9 months after Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin did, all of which, all three, are members of the 27 Club. Interesting, right? So the music industry really had changed within the past 2 years, losing Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and then finally Jim Morrison. Is like, what is going on? So he would end up being interred at the Père Lachaise cemetery in Paris. And let's kind of get into some controversy about his death, because it's a little interesting, let's say, and there's so many theories about this. So apparently, a man named Sam Burnett. Now he used to manage a club in Paris called the Rock and Roll Circus Club. Now, apparently, he saw Jim Morrison there. And apparently, he met up with 2 drug dealers before going into the bathroom at around 2 a.m. There's a claim that he died in the bathroom stall there, and that's the first claim. So apparently, when Jim wouldn't come out after the drug dealers left the bathroom, this is when a bouncer went in and kicked down the door, and they found him unconscious. Sam Burnett also then got a doctor, and there was a doctor that was a regular at the club, which I find really bizarre, but actually works in their favor, that would go in, and he would then confirm that Jim Morrison had died. So Sam Burnett also went on to write a book too about finding Jim, how he was a crumpled lump on the floor. in the toilet stall of the nightclub. And he talked about how he was once this beautiful California boy and a flamboyant singer. He also went on to talk about when they found him and how he had foam on his nose along with blood. And apparently this is when the doctor that he got said that that was a heroin overdose. But as shocking as it is, he isn't the only one that says this. There's a lot of other people that speculate that how he was found is not how he died. So apparently Patrick Cheval recalled similar circumstances. He said that he was tending bar at the Rock and Roll Circus Club when somehow he ended up helping out carry Jim Morrison's body up a staircase. No one called an ambulance, and this is because he was told to not call for help. So Patrick believed that he was either dead or he was unconscious. He had no idea while he was carrying him. And Sam Burnett still maintains to this day that the two drug dealers that were involved in this insisted that Jim had just fainted, and that when Sam called for help, he was told by his boss not to because he didn't want authorities involved. Now, his final conclusion is that the two dealers that gave him his final hit of heroin are the ones that carried his body to their car, transported him back to his apartment that him and Pamela Corson shared, and dumped his body in the bathtub while Pamela was asleep. This is like one of the main conspiracy theories when it comes to this. Now, the most accepted version of the events of what happened is that him and Pamela were doing heroin and listening to music. Now, here's the thing. Jim Morrison was afraid of needles, so he snorted heroin. Not generally the most normal thing, but in all its unfortunateness, like Janis Joplin, of which I have a fun fact about them, by the way, just like Janis Joplin, the batch that she had, same as Jim Morrison, was too potent, and it was too much for Jim Morrison. Now, my fun fact about Miss Janis Joplin. So apparently, while they were at a party, Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison, this is a few years prior, I believe it was in 1968. Yeah, I believe so. So, apparently they got into a verbal fight and she smashed a bottle over his head. And she didn't know who he was. She didn't know his name, didn't know who he was, and she just got super irritated with him at this party. I found that very very hysterical when I was reading it. Now, no matter how much we try to spin his death or how many conspiracy theories we try to make about this death, we don't know exactly what happened or how he got into a bathtub. According to Pamela, she said that he woke up in the middle of the night and he wanted to go into the bathtub and try to relax. There's another theory that claims that Pamela put him in there herself, and she hoped that the warm bath water would help alleviate his symptoms of his overdose. After his death, she apparently waited to notify the police and to get medical attention for him. And this is due to how ignorant she was of a person when it came to his drug addiction and his habits. So in the many, many years after his death, many people speculate as to what happened. I mean, even I do, because it's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. And how, if Pamela, in fact, was the main intentional role in his death. But we won't know because she passed away 3 years after he did. So we will never know if she fully had anything to do with his death. So another theory is that a singer, her name is Marianne Faithfull, she believes that her ex-boyfriend, Jean de Brutiel, is the one that gave Jim Morrison the heroin that killed him. Another one Another wild rumor is that Jim Morrison took the heroin by mistake because he thought it was cocaine. Now, cocaine and alcohol were his thing, not necessarily heroin, so that is a good indicator as to maybe that is what could have happened, because, I mean, heroin is much more potent than cocaine. So, now, like I said, there's a lot of conspiracy theories when it comes to this. A lot of the details of this case are extremely murky. We don't know exactly what happened. Will we ever know? I don't think so. Not until one of us dies and meets him on the other side. But that, my friends, is the lovely death of Jim Morrison, a man that I believe died way before his time, as I do believe about many of the other people of the 27 Club, because they didn't get to enjoy their life the way that they should have. You know what I mean? They didn't get to really see the full fruits of their work. And it's saddening. Like Janis Joplin, she didn't even get to see the release of her new album, Pearl, that she was working on. And Kurt Cobain, he wanted to get away from his crazy wife. I mean, if you don't think Courtney Love is crazy, that's on you, but that's what I think. Jim Morrison, I highly think that there's something wrong. There was something wrong with his girlfriend and him. Like, apparently their trip to Paris was for him to kind of like make sure he was in a better place, because he was in a lot of legal trouble for exposing himself at a concert, and he had this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde persona about him, that when he was high, he turned into a massive prick like Jekyll, and he was Dr. Hyde when he was sober. So apparently this was like his sober trip, but that's not what people that know them say was happening when they were out in Paris. A lot of them say that they were partying pretty hard, so his ideal of being sober in Paris was not a thing. But what do you guys think? Put them in the comments down below. I want to know. Also, I apologize for my voice. I'm sick. I got whatever my youngest had, and it's really weird. Like, my throat's on fire, and I'm trying to get through this as good as I can. I sound a little nasally. I apologize. But I hope to see you guys in another video. Don't forget to subscribe, turn your bell notification on all, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.